Welcome again to Psycho's Platters, episode 89. That's right. Hope everybody has had themselves a great week in life and in crate digging in general. Fueled by coffee, may or may not be sponsored by Waffle House. Excuse me. Yeah, okay. So listen, not too much. Not too much today. I've got a handful of albums that I picked up over the last week or so. Um, let's see. What can we start off with here? Do you go off and get records? You don't even know the artist. You just figure, it looks interesting, or let's see what happens here, right? Well, this kind of struck me a little bit. The Bob Allen Trio at the Christopher Inn. This here, of course, smacks of jazz, doesn't it now? Well, that's kind of why I got it. I'm like, never heard of these people. Who knows, right? It's a gatefold. The back here. Um, like I said, the Bob Allen trio here, you got Bob Allen, Vince Evans, and Ray Rakel, okay? They are from the Columbus, Ohio area, based on what I'm reading here. Also, it says that the Christopher Inn opened up in the summer of '63, and based on some of the song choices, I have a sneaky feeling this is a late '60s, slight early '70s. It's a private press. It's kind of interesting. Really, really neat and relaxing music at times too. Really nice. You like Blood, Sweat, and Tears? I like Blood, Sweat, and Tears. At least the old version of Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Now, most people, don't know that David Clayton Thomas wasn't always with the band. He took a few years off here and there, but during the main classic era phase of between '72 and '75, when he attempted to make a solo career again, there was two singers that replaced David Clayton Thomas. One of them was Jerry Fisher. The other one was Jerry Delacroix. Jerry LaCroix, excuse me. I'm tired. Anywho, this one here from 1973 called No Sweat from Blood, Sweat, and Tears, of course. Get it? They're in a steam bath. This also is a gatefold on Columbia Records. There's the back, all of them. Ooh la la, in a steam room. Now, the main ones here in the band at this time frame, Lou Marini. Lou Marini would end up a couple years later in the Blues Brothers band. Also, you have two original members, pretty much out of everybody by this point, because they got started in 1968. Okay, the first one, Jim Fielder. Jim Fielder, before he joined Blood, Sweat, and Tears, actually was a brief member of Buffalo Springfield. He was on the last album that they ever did. He played bass and did some background vocals. And then lastly, Bobby Colomby. Bobby Colomby was the drummer of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and he'd be there with them at least until about 1980, when then he would end up being, he would go to the corporate side of things and do the A&R work for Columbia and other labels as well. Bobby still happens to own the name of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, but I'll tell you something. David Clayton Thomas isn't with them. He hasn't been with that band since '04. Blood, Sweat, and Tears has gone back out on the road again and done. Cause I know they did a casino gig near here, and I think they're planning on doing another one real soon too in the area. There's no original members, and there's no members that were on any of the records. And the lead singer now for Blood, Sweat, and Tears is Bo Bice. I don't know if that name sounds familiar to you or not. American Idol. He was on American Idol at one point or another. Another album here. We were at Doug's house spinning records earlier today and picked up on some interesting sounds like this as a Bob Allen thing. And then on Capitol Records, Joy of Cooking. Now, I know they put out a couple albums. This is a gatefold also. Must be Gatefold Day, right? There's that. And, yeah, they had two female singers. Based on what I'm getting out of this, it looks like to me it could be late '71, early '72. This is going to be on the Orange Target Capitol, okay, for that bit there. Now, this next one, I found this on and off. over the last 10 years or so, but they've always been beat up and scratched to holy hell. I found myself a mint condition copy on Arista of NBC's Saturday Night Live, the original cast. Boy, I'll tell you, this is basically the first season of SNL in audio form. The best bits. Here's the front. Here's the back. Oh, how I miss them. I miss John and Gilda. Oh, Lord. Good, interesting album, though. Excuse me. All right. Speaking of things that are usually beat to holy hell by the time I get to them, I finally got my first Mahavishnu Orchestra album. Like I said, these things are usually well worn and played. This one was, I found a handful of these, and this one was the best of the bunch. Birds of Fire from 1973. Now, if you've never heard of the Mahavishnu Orchestra, really cool stuff. I've dabbled in this briefly. It's on Columbia Records also. This mainly was a supergroup of sorts. You got Rick Laird, you got Jan Hammer, which in the 80s he'd be more recognized mainstream for doing the Miami Vice theme. Okay, yeah, that's gonna get stuck in your head now for a little bit. You know how it goes. And they also cut a couple albums for with James Young of Styx too in the 80s and early 90s. City Slickers coming to mind. I think that's the name of the album. John McLaughlin on guitar. One of the better jazz guitar players out there. I think he was also in Return to Forever, if I remember correctly, right on that bit, briefly. And he also played guitar on a couple albums with Carlos Santana. So, I mean, he's been around for quite some time. Jerry Goodman plays electric violin. He originally got his start at a band called The Flock out of Chicago, Illinois. Really, really good band. Try to find their 2 albums on Columbia. You will not go wrong. The Flock and Dinosaur Swamps, really good stuff. They also cut a couple 45s on the Destination label, even before the Columbia stuff. And lastly, you've got Billy Cobham, jazz drummer extraordinaire. He's done a lot of things. He's had solo career. He's done session work. One of the big ones, at least that's coming to mind for me, on one of Billy Cobham's albums was Tommy Bolin, who, of course, got his start in Zephyr and did other things, went to James Gang, and then finally Deep Purple, and then solo career, and then unfortunately passed away back in '76. This is the back cover of that on Columbia. Lastly, like I said, we spun this at Doug's place, and I got to tell you the God's honest truth, I think I found myself another lifelong artist that so far I've liked his work, and I have not had a chance to listen to really much of any of his work. In the past, it seems like this man's albums are also beat to holy hell. When I have only started touching on jazz albums in like about the last 4 to 5 years, roughly. Before that, I could care less. I'm still a rock and roller, and I love my oldies and my classic and hair metal and stuff. But I like to expand out when it sounds good. That's the open mind, open ears thing. Well, this one here on Verve Records, Stan Getz. I cannot pronounce this dude's first name. Gilberto is the last name, and Antonio Carlos Yohib. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. But they do a jazz album together. Now, this originally was in 1964 on the Verve label. This also was a gatefold. And this. Now, here was the extra cool part of the whole mess. Now, like I said before, I paid $1 each for these things. Now, forgive the glare, Black Label Verve, but guess what? It is it's a Japanese reissue from 1982 in mint condition. I am like, what? And it came with this. Hold on a second. The Verve Story, the lively art of recording lasting music. And then here's the flip. It shows a bunch of albums that were put out. Like I said, this was called the Original Verve Jazz Series. I mean, you had things like Oscar Peterson Trio, some more Stan Getz. What else? Bill Evans, Norman Grand's Jam Session, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Jerry Mulligan, who worked with Dave Brubeck. It's just very cool. Dizzy Gillespie. So this is neat. The vinyl is really fantastic. Doug went off and told me, he says it would sound even better on a vacuum tube set, which I believe him. He'd know. But where I'm getting at this is that the music calmed me so much. And then he pulled out another album called Gets a Go-Go, I think, from the mid-'60s, and even that was great. So it's like, I think I'm going to start looking for that stuff too. Anything I can grab from him, he's been gone, unfortunately. Stan's been gone for about almost 20 years, if not more. And, I mean, he left a big body of work, so this will be really interesting and cool. All right, guys, shout-outs. Wax Museum with Ronnie Dark. Best Sunday night damn music show there is out there, 6 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Followed by the Night Owl Lounge with Mike Adams, the best of lounge and exotica music from 9 to 10 p.m. Thrifty Music Collectors Group with Tim Smith and Company. Go subscribe to that, please. Also, YouTube Vinyl Community, Shindig Magazine, Vintage Rock Magazine, and let's see, who did I have for Channel 33 RPM and Vinyl Vault. You guys, I've been watching your videos, been really, really good. We'll go watch them, and maybe I'll have some new recommendations for next week. I'm sorry, guys, I'm kind of tired. Actually, what's going to happen is I'm taking a week off after this. For next episode on Facebook and YouTube, I will be replaying episode 21. If you don't know what that is, that was my Monkeys episode, because by that time it'll be the 3rd anniversary of Davy Jones's death, which, February 29th, and, for him, December 8th for John Lennon. Those 2 days bum me out every year. I know there's other music deaths that have happened across, but those are the 2 that hit me the most at this point. I love George Harrison, and when he died in late November of 2001, that hit me too, but not as much because I knew he was dying of cancer. I guess, that took some of the shock and awe out of it. I don't know. But yeah, so that'll be probably re-airing episode 21 for that, and then I'll come back for 90 with some new stuff, hopefully. All right. I love you guys. Take care. God bless. Rock on, and see you in about 2 weeks.